What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another market update. And I think I'm going to start doing these like once a week. I like doing them. I have a lot of fun doing them, editing them. So, yeah, I think I'll just move this up to once a week. And today's market update is now everybody's in the mindset of planning for 2023, planning their next move or business planning if you're in business. So, I think this is the perfect time now to start talking about some predictions that we have for 2023. And to be honest with you, there's a lot of fear mongering right now in the streets, a lot of blood. Everybody's talking about what the Fed's been doing, where inflation is going to be in the next couple months, what the housing market is going to look like, what mortgage rates are going to look like, and everybody's throwing out predictions. To be honest with you, no one knows the future. Nobody has a crystal ball. A lot of these things actually blindside us. Like if you look back to 2008, nobody saw that coming. Not even, I mean, this was kind of predicted. If we look at the housing market where it's now, a lot of people said we'll probably end up where we're at today. But at the end of the day, they just can't get at the end of the day, all we have are predictions. And personally, I don't like the fear mongering. I don't like the clickbaity titles that we see on YouTube videos and articles nowadays. All they do is just get you to click on them and they get their ad spend. They get their ad revenue. Personally, don't like that. I like to choose a middle path. I like to look at articles that are a bit more balanced with their view. And with that being said, let's get right into this article. Alrighty, this is Inman. It is one of the most well-known organizations out there for housing market news. And this one, like I said, this one I feel is a bit more balanced in its view. I know the title doesn't it tells you straight up, hey, no housing bubble. But here are some top 10 predictions for 2023. We'll get right into it. So, one prediction that he says is there is no housing bubble. Mortgage rates rose steeply in 2022, which, when coupled with the massive run-up in home prices, has some suggesting that we are recreating the housing bubble of 2007. But that could not be further from the truth. And frankly, I think most economists or most talking heads out there would agree with this statement. I don't think anybody sees this being a recreation of 2008 for the most part. Yeah. So over the past couple of years, home prices got ahead of themselves due to a perfect storm of massive pandemic-induced demand and historically low mortgage rates. And that's the thing. A lot of times, the only way we can tell what actually happened is in hindsight, when we look back and see what were the factors that affected, in this case, home prices. So he goes on to say, while I expect year-over-year price declines in 2023, I don't believe there will be a systematic drop in home values. And to be honest, just from being on the ground, having our boots on the ground and looking at homes, yeah, we have a lot of adjustments right now. It's a perfect window for buyers, but I just don't see, house prices completely crashing, especially in our market. Another prediction he has, mortgage rates will drop. And this I think most agree on. A lot of lenders I talk to nowadays, and again, we can kind of take this with a grain of salt. Nobody really knows what's going to happen, but they do expect rates to be in the low fives, maybe even sub that. This one here says rates will remain above 6% until the fall of 2023 when they should dip into the high 5% range. So there you go. But then 5 or 6%. I see that happening. And again, another thing that we can see in hindsight is rates at 3% was crazy. That was a gift from God, y'all. I don't remember when the last time this happened. I think I read an article about it, but it's been a long time since rates were that low. Historically, 5 or 6% is really where it should be. And I think after this craziness is over, it's going to give us a more balanced market. Another prediction here, don't expect inventory to grow significantly. So we did have inventory levels rise in 2022, but they are still well below their long-term averages. And he says here in 2023, I don't expect a significant increase in the number of homes for sale, as many homeowners do not want to lose their low mortgage rates. Very true. A lot of people that got in the last 4 years say they're probably in the 4% or even below that, 2.5, 2.8, 3, 3.5. So a lot of people just would not want to sell when they have a rate like that. So don't expect inventory to increase drastically. No buyer's market, but a more balanced one. This is what I love seeing this, Balance is great. Everybody's looking for a balanced life. And we're always looking for a balanced market. So with supply levels expected to remain well below normal, it's unlikely that we will see a buyer's market. Buyer's market is usually defined as having more than 6 months of available inventory. Yeah, we're not even seeing that now. It's probably at 2.7 or 3 months of inventory right now. At the highest, probably 3 months. The last time we reached that level was in 2012 when we were recovering from the housing bubble. So to get to 6 months of inventory, we would have to reach 2 million listings, which hasn't happened since 2015. And again, this thing, he's talking nationally here. So, these numbers, take it with a grain of salt. Every market is, hyper localized, and it's going to be different than here than in the West Coast or the Midwest. So take it for what it is. Number 5, sellers will have to become more realistic. This is huge. For the last 2 years or 18 months, sellers have been posting up, god-awful homes with pretty much putting in no work. And I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of listings that we saw were just in terrible condition, and people were bidding on them. People were bidding over asking for them because of how desperate the situation was and how low rates were, and there was a buying frenzy. But I think moving forward, and we're already seeing that now, if your home is not in tip-top shape, you cannot expect top dollar for it, and it will sit for 45 days plus. Honestly, even some of the ones that are in great shape are sitting, and they're having to reduce prices to attract the right kind of buyer. So this one is huge, and I think sellers, if you're watching this video, please pay attention to this. Be realistic about your expectations, and a third party will always give you a more honest view of what your home is. Every one of us thinks their home is the best thing since sliced bread. So this it pays to have a honest third party opinion about what your home is going to be worth, based on what the market conditions are, right? Workers return to work, sort of, he says here. So this pandemic's impact on where many people could work was profound, as it allowed buyers to look further away from their workplace and into more affordable markets. Many businesses are still determining their long-term work-from-home policies, but in the coming year, I expect there will be more clarity for workers. We're already starting to see that now. I'm sure a lot of you guys that work in the corporate infrastructure, you're seeing like a 2-3 or a 3-2, a ratio, days at home and days in the office. So we're definitely going to start seeing people, maybe a fair amount, moving back into the cities or moving back into work in general. So this will affect where people will look. The sellers need to pay attention to this too. New construction activity is unlikely to increase. This one is huge. Permits for new home constructions are down by over 17% year over year. A lot of builders, frankly, have stopped building for now, and the reason is they don't want to get stuck. They're afraid. They're afraid of having '08 repeat itself all over again, and they don't want to get stuck in these massive development projects that could put them years behind their goals or years behind and cause them to go bankrupt. So that's partly the reason why permits are down, and they're probably not going to go back up anytime soon. Builders will start seeing some easing in the supply chain issues that hit them hard. This was another issue, but development costs will still be high. Number 8, not all markets are created equal. This is something we just mentioned. So markets where home price growth rose the fastest in recent years, for example, here in Nova, are expected to experience a disproportionate swing to the downside. For example, markets in areas that had an influx of remote workers who flocked to cheaper housing during the pandemic will likely see prices fall by a greater percentage. True, and I can see their reasoning here. Personally, I don't know if we're going to see as much of a drop in our area here as, say, the Western real estate markets will see. I just think here we're kind of insulated from major moves. Yes, we'll see an adjustment. I just don't think we're going to see this like 50 and 20% drop that a lot of markets will probably see over the next year, year and a half. So that said, even those markets will start to see prices stabilize by the end of 2023 and resume a more reasonable pace of price growth, which historically has been between 3 and 5, 4 and 5%. That's definitely where we want to be for home price growth. That gives us a stable market. Number 9, affordability will continue to be a major issue. So most markets' home prices will not increase in 2023, but any price drop will not be sufficient enough to make housing more affordable. So again, here he's referencing the mortgage rates remaining so high and higher than they've been in over a decade. Affordability will continue to be a problem, which is a concerning outlook for first-time buyers. And this is an immediate concern. This is a concern. I read earlier today that home affordability has been the lowest it's been in the last 15 years. So that's my generation. That's people that are, getting into the workforce and establishing themselves now, starting families. They're the home buyers that are getting hit the hardest. But with that said, we have smart lending options right now, creative lending options where lenders are adapting to the market conditions quickly. They're giving us amazing products, like, for example, the 2-1 buy down, and we can probably get into that with Taylor once he hops on. It gives a really good entry for a lot of first-time buyers. Matter of fact, I'm actually working with a good friend of mine. She's in the market right now, and with the rates the way they are now, she wouldn't be able to afford it. But with the 2-1 buy down, we were able to drop her payment something like $700, and she's only putting down 5%. I mean, take it for what it is, but it's definitely worth a conversation because don't think you're priced out. Do not think you're priced out with the way the rates are. There's definitely a way around that. And last but certainly not least, government will start to take housing more seriously. So over the past 2 years, the market has risen to such an extent that it has priced out millions of potential home buyers with a wave of demand coming from millennials and Gen Z. We just mentioned that now. The pace of housing production must increase significantly, but many markets simply don't have enough land to build on. This is why I expect more cities, counties, and states to start adjusting their land use policies to free up more land for housing. Matter of fact, we actually just saw this recently in Prince William County. The master plan was just redone, and the rural crescent, if you guys are familiar with that, that's like Haymarket, Nokesville, Catlett, I would say like west of Gainesville, that area. And it goes up a little bit north. Well, that area for the longest, since 1998, has been zoned for 1 house per 10 acres. They're planning to rezone that to 1 house per 5 acres and also include a lot of areas where they'll allow high density housing, for example, condos or townhouses, as well as low density houses, which is the single family homes. So that'll bring in a lot of housing inventory that honestly we desperately need, especially in Prince William County. So there is your market update. So there was your market update. I really like that article. I think it's well balanced. There's no fear mongering there. It's telling you the facts as they are. And those are the articles I honestly like to read. Everything that you scroll through, clickbait, man. Clickbait. They have this image of them, with the house on fire behind them, and oh my God, it's the end of the world. And I hate that. I just hate that. Let's have a balanced view. Because honestly, at the end of the day, you really don't know what's coming your way. You don't know. You can sit there and predict all day, and the Fed did this, and we saw this, and the market did that. You don't know. Act on what you know now. Act on what you have now, and try to make a wise decision. And honestly, that's really what we have to go off of. Make a wise decision based on what you know now, and just go from there. So with that said, I'm going to see you guys next week again. Maybe we'll do an article like this, or maybe we will do a a drive-through of Prince William County to go through some of the neighborhoods that I think are really interesting right now, and some development news as well. Talk to you guys then.